Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I just want to explain something to you guys so you're at least aware. This is a message to the State Attorney General of New York and Mr. Mosley and the Secretary of State of New York. I'm just going to make this very simple. John Zerka is a friend of mine. Pete Davidson is a friend of mine as well. So I'm going to make this very simple. See, I'm at my uncle's house right now. Now, there was an investigation done by Mr. Detective Frank Ruvolo in the Nassau County Police Department, and he brought it to my attention. I'm going to explain this one time. The whole thing that me doing these videos and me explaining on the Uncle John show, I don't want to lie to the public. So I'm going to make this simple. You cannot leak out when you have a virtual hearing, when it's a Zoom meeting, you cannot leak out people's information. Secondly, Mrs. Letitia James, you did not explain, not only to my workman's comp attorney, you did not explain to Social Security where half of those shared systems, meaning the data breach, you did not explain to Google or Alphabet, the company, where exactly these hacks were coming from. All you said is that they committed an infraction on child protection. So, you didn't mention, this is something I'm going to explain to you. Michael Suvero was my boss, and another person that knows him is Alan Dershowitz. And Alan Dershowitz and Michael Cohen, they're all friends of each other, and they all work together. So Michael worked at Parker Wakeman. Now I'm going to explain this story to you so you're at least aware. I interned at that Parker Wakeman, but I wasn't there for that long. So when in the Holy Scriptures here, when it says not to lie under oath and you commit perjury, Mrs. Letitia James, that's a serious problem. Let me repeat that. You need, Mrs. James, to speak to these people that are involved in this matter. You cannot do anything without half of my relatives' permission. So, I'm going to explain the second part of this statement. So, I see that Kim Kardashian is on that show with Jimmy Fallon. Well, congratulations, Kim. You need to start explaining stuff to the district attorney's office. Not just New York, just in California as well. So this guy, Ray J, explains on the YouTube that there is a racketeering case. Yes, there is a racketeering case. Because you, Kim, your mother is involved in so much things, it's not even funny. And my financial advisor who runs mutual company, Rocco, is going to even explain the second statement. Your relative that is associated with Khloe Kardashian handed me driver's licenses that are, I don't know if they're real, I don't know if they're fake, I don't know what they are. She handed me 20 plus driver's licenses when I was in the public defender's office. And I wasn't necessarily there. I was in medical school. I was in Columbia University. So I can't sit here and lie to Workman's Comp or the Social Security Board and lie to them. So I have to be honest with you. So my question that I'm going to ask you, Kim Kardashian, and I'd like an answer, is, there was an apartment, not just in Columbus Circle, there's a house up here that's literally not even far from the Roxbury, New York town that has my name and my credentials. So my question to you, Kim Kardashian, is where exactly do you have my stuff? Because those people in the New York City Police Department and the FDNY, they're going to ask Mr. Fallon this question. Why did you grant her permission to be on that show? And why is another thing I'm going to explain to the Workman's Comp Board? Why are you granting permission? You know, that list that I sent to you guys, that list, all those people said there's 50 plus cases with Kim Kardashian and Kourtney Kardashian's name on it. So I want to know, to you, Mr. Jimmy Fallon, what the heck are you doing on those shows? You don't have my permission. Now I'm going to explain this. I'm going to say this nicely to your organization, the Illuminati. You don't have any of my relatives' permission to be using any of their business accounts. So when I go into Workman's Comp, and not only that, Mr. Stanton's cousin's relatives, I'm not upset at Mr. Stanton. I'm upset because Mr. Stanton's information got leaked. And not only that, you have two firms that you want to screw around with. And somebody in your relatives impersonated a group of lawyers and accountants. And that's something that, Mr. Fallon, you're out of, no offense, you're out of your freaking mind if you think that this is a comedy festival. I don't find any of this stuff funny. I don't find it funny. She's not allowed. I told this Kim Kardashian woman on a phone call, I told her, you're not allowed to be on any of those shows because your credentials were listed with the United States military system. Let me repeat that. Your credentials was listed with the United States military system. Means that one of your relatives committed some sort of felony act where you're not supposed to be appearing on any of these shows. And who gave you permission? Another thing I'm going to explain to you that Kylie's going to have me explain. You said to me that there is such thing as a marriage certificate in my name between you and me. Let me repeat that. Kylie Jenner explained this to me, which I find hilarious on the phone. They said, you, John Gaetjens, are married to Kim Kardashian. And I said, what? Are you serious? Well, she showed me some sort of certificate. So would you like to explain to Mr. Fallon why I'm not married to you? Another thing I'm going to explain to you. So, Cardinal Timothy Dolan is a person that, you know, when I went to catechism school and all this nonsense, just like mitzvah, he's going to ask you this question, Mrs. Kim Kardashian, to your own mother. Where is half of those funds from not only foreign intelligence? Where is those funds from the religious organizations doing in your relatives' bank accounts? Let me repeat that. What is your relatives doing with religious funds or any type of assets in BlackRock and Vanguard's bank account without half of my relatives' permission? So my question is to you, which I find the most insulting thing impossible, because Mr. John Curry and half of those people like Mr. Joseph Colombo and New York Life, they trained me in this insurance business. Since 2012, I left that business. Now I went fully, as you call it, religious or faithful. I'm taking a school with Dr. Mark Rubenstein. I quit medical school, meaning I finished. I can't touch that field anymore. I did so well in medical school and law school that they don't even want me there. You know what they want me to do? They want me to be practicing rabbi. And next month, I'm going to be starting these courses. And I'm going to say to you, Kim Kardashian, I find this so funny that St. John's University and most of those universities would like to know why you, Kim, you can't even explain to your own sister's relatives. Now, Kourtney should say this to you. You commit what they call in the business not only as a sin, you commit in the business as a haram. You do something like that. You go against your own relative's religion. Not just Christianity, not just Judaism, not just being practicing Muslim. You go against your own relatives that are Armenian. Let me explain to you something. I'm going to give you a 411 story. The Armenian people, one of my relatives is KG. His name was Aladdin KG. That was my great whatever grandfather's other name. And let me tell you something. It's not Persian. It has to do with the Armenian side of my relatives. And your own relative, there was a civil war back in the day in Armenian country. And you can't even explain anything to your own relatives here in New York. You can't explain. Because I just find it so shocking. I find it absolutely crazy. You know, number one, there was an incident that happened in Vegas with MGM, which some person posted a picture on social media where it's a picture of a pink equivalent of a Cadillac of one of your cars with your license plate, all your information. They had CCTV footage of this car driving into Vegas and driving out of Vegas when this hack was going on. So my question to you, and I'm very, very curious on how you're not explaining this to Kylie and Kendall Jenner's father. I understand her name's Caitlyn Jenner, but I would be very curious on wanting to know why you can't explain that to your own sisters. That's what I find crazy. You're on the show. You say you're married. How the heck am I? Another thing, I find this crazy. I find this absolutely ridiculous, and I shake my head. Is how does Christianity and Judaism have similarities? You have to go. In other words, so what? We went in front of a priest or a rabbi. First of all, I'd have to go in front of Cardinal Timothy Dolan's relative. That's number one. Or I would have to go in front of Mark Rubenstein's relative in New York. That's another one. So they in real life, I built not a system. I built a new version of what you call a marriage contract, where I had enlisted, and this is something that I wanted to work on with this Mark Rubenstein, my rabbi. And I wanted to build a contract where it's not a prenuptial agreement. It's an agreement like a Holy Scriptures, where you have to list your itinerary chart, where you have to list what a woman wants, what a man wants, and how you can work in the middle of that itinerary chart, the pros and cons. That's how a contract works. Prenuptial agreements will not work. So, can you show me? I'd like to see footage of how exactly we had this marriage contract set up, because Kylie would like to know that, because her own mother is probably laughing her noggin off. How exactly did you come up with this marriage? And secondly, if there was a priest or a rabbi involved in this, I'd have to sit down with them and sign physical papers. There's no physical papers, so where are you getting this proof? The second thing I'm going to explain to you as well. You had a workman's comp case. Miss Kim, your sister called me up and said you had a workman's comp case and that it had my name on it. So how am I supposed to, not without your attorney present, I have to have your attorney present. How are you supposed to, or be in requirements under the rules and regulations of the law? How are you supposed to explain that to Jimmy Kimmel? Because not just Jimmy Kimmel, not just Jimmy Fallon, whoever you have on those shows. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's just say, as an example, another thing I want to bring up with this Jimmy Kimmel. I wanted to bring that up as well. So you had Jimmy Fallon on the show. One of your other relatives, one of your other friends was on Jimmy Kimmel's show. You know what I find so interesting? And I just started listing stuff. I just started listing on my pad right here. I just started listing the amount of things that are going on in this country when you can't even, you just have to be careful what you say and what you do now. You know, it's very interesting that your own two things. Number one, Kim, I'm going to say this. It's very interesting that your sister's having a big problem with her company. I'm not going to BS you. She's having major issues, and your mother is not white lying anything. Your mother wants to know who the heck this Fred character is. I don't even want to even embellish that conversation. The second thing is my own uncle who's here at this house wants to know where the heck half of his relatives' income's going. Because you have to start explaining, not just to me, you have to start explaining to the Gaming Commission in New York State. Because there was lottery fraud with your name on it. So, what are you going to do exactly, Kim? Are you going to play nonsensical games? Are you going to lie to the public? Because this is something that Mr. Jimmy Kimmel would even, something I'm going to say in which I do respect. I do understand why President Trump is not liked by a lot of people. I do understand that. But you have to, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you. In court, I had to explain so many things that he actually seen. Mr. Trump was involved, I'm going to just say this, he was involved in the what you call the Italian mafia. If you don't believe that, then you're on crack. You're on the cocaine. Now I say this, I'm going to make this this time with the adults only. But I'm just going to state that you're on some sort of drugs if you think that he wasn't associated with the mafia. He was. And there was such things, ladies and gentlemen, and I can definitely testify about that. And if you put me in court, you're going to have the biggest problem in the entire country. Because you're going to have to start explaining the mafia tax, Mr. Trump, about the concrete. Because let me tell you something, at 15 years old, I know a lot of stuff. And I have nothing, Joshua and most of those people, like the Christians, they got a laundry list. They want to know where half that Russian funds are as well. So how can you, Mr. Trump, explain that to me? How half of that money is not going to where it's supposed to go? Do you understand that I am Mr. Trump? I'm saying not just to you, I'm saying to your own relatives. Do you understand your own relatives are going to start throwing rocks at you? Not rocks like you think, like a literal rock. I think like a lawsuit. Your own relatives are going to turn on you like sharks. In other words, I'm in this room right here. There's a little table here. It might as well be a pond. And when a shark sees blood, they're going to explain, hey, the guy he's a dead man. You know what I'm trying to explain to you, Mr. Trump? I'm trying to explain to you that those people, when they say that they want their money back, they are not going to go into court. They're going to take you into the military version of court. Because that's something I'm going to just put into this picture. Because Ivanka even said this to you. You need to start explaining to me where half of my money is and why it's in the stock market. It's not supposed to be in the stock market. I don't do business with stocks and bonds. I do business in a private version of those things. I make sure equity or any of that stuff. And you know what? I find it so funny. You take pizza boxes and you're walking like this to go get pizza when the fire department, we don't need pizza. All right? I'm just going to say this. I'm going to keep it real with you. We don't need pizza. We need more money and we need a healthy budget. And if the United Nations doesn't understand that, then they're in like Novely Doll Land. They're in Never Never Land, as they say. So I am going to make this for adults out of respect. And I hope you guys have a pleasant and wonderful day. Kim, you're going to get those people, Kim, they're going to take this paperwork, that not my paperwork. They're going to take their own paperwork, Kim, and they're going to dump it on you. And they're going to say, where the heck is this kid's marriage contract? So take care. Have a pleasant and wonderful day.